thanks for stopping by. Robert Kofed with Computer Creations, and today I'm gonna show you some tips and tricks regarding the array tool. There's a lot of features that you may not be using in your array tool that can make a huge difference in how many items you're cutting out of a piece of material. So today what I thought I'd show you is I've got a small logo of Nevada, and the job the task I've got is this is a 12 by 20 piece of acrylic, and I want to try to get as many shapes of Nevada out of this piece of acrylic as I can. And so normally you would just highlight your shape, you would add your columns and your rows, you know, what would fit. And you can see that we've got a count of 297 shapes on this that would fit on this piece of acrylic. Now you can look at this layout and go, man, it looks like I'm utilizing my material pretty well. But what if I told you that with a simple change, we can get 81 more pieces out of this layout? Well, 81 pieces is pretty substantial, and I'm going to show you how to do it with some simple things that you may not know about the array tool. So that's going to be next. Okay, so we've created 297 of those shapes, kind of the way that most people use the array tool. And so what I wanted to do is give you another option and show you the virtual array feature that's part of this grid array. But one of the things that you got to keep in mind if you're going to use the virtual array tool is you've got to have more than one shape. So I've just duplicated this shape of Nevada. We're going to go ahead and highlight those two. And then I'm going to come in here, I'm going to get into my array tool, and I want to make sure this is going to be off. I want to make sure this is on, create virtual array. And we're going to come over here and we're going to start generating pretty much, instead of singly, we're going to go two shapes at a time. And we're going to fill it up just like we did before, okay? And I'm going to say okay. So nothing's changed. We've done exactly what we did before. But here's the beauty of the virtual array process. I'm going to go ahead and deselect this. You notice that these two shapes that we started with are a different color, meaning that there's a black dashed line around all of these other shapes. And basically what that's telling you is that this is virtual, meaning this is not, it's just showing it to you graphically, but these are not shapes that are generated yet. And so what we're going to want to do is I'm going to start playing with the layout of this shape. So I'm going to select this shape, and you notice if I select this shape and I drag it around, it affects all the other shapes because it's virtual. So let's see if we can make a little headway on squeezing out a few more shapes on this predetermined piece of material. So the first thing I'm going to do is select the shape. I'm going to hit the period key twice. That's going to rotate that shape 180 degrees. Let's zoom in here so we can see what we're doing. And I can drag this anywhere I want, but you can see where all of a sudden this gets hugely powerful, because I can, instead of adjusting something and creating array, seeing if I'm getting a higher count, I can go ahead and make sure that my spacing is as good as it gets virtually, meaning that I can place this accordingly, right? And then I can back up, and you notice now, because we've rearranged things, I've got more rows than I have columns. It's not a problem. I can hover over this array and right mouse click, come down here to edit array, and we're going to reduce the number of rows and add the number of columns. And at this point, if you take that 189 times 2, that's 378. So we just squeezed out 81 more shapes out of that same. So if I go OK, now we're still not done yet, meaning that it's still just showing that to you virtually. We could move this around more if we wanted to, but let's say that we're happy because we squeezed 89 more out of this and we want to go forward. If you right mouse click when you're hovering over this display, there's some other options here. We can edit the array, which means you reopen this dialog box and you can change the spacing, add rows, columns, do whatever you need to. We're happy with our layout, so we don't need to do that. If we right mouse click, we can duplicate the array. We can remove something from an array if we want, or we can exit the array. The exit array basically just takes you back to where you started from. What we want is we want to flatten this array because we're happy with this layout. So if I went and I flattened the array, now it turns those all into actual shapes. And if we wanted to, we could go ahead and highlight them. We could group them. We could hit the P key to center them. And just like that, we were able to squeeze out 81 more shapes in Nevada here, and really with very little effort. So the virtual array process really can help you when you're trying to squeeze as much as you can out of your material. Materials aren't getting any cheaper, and this is a great option. If you didn't know about the virtual array, it'll really help you out. The other thing that the virtual array will do will help you create patterns. So I'm going to give you another example. Let's say that we wanted to create a Christmas pattern. So in our next segment, I'm going to drop in some snowflakes, and you can see how much fun it can be to have a number of different shapes and be able to manipulate them and have the whole sheet adjust accordingly. So that's next. Okay, let's go ahead and try to create a snowflake pattern. So what I did is I brought in 8 individual snowflakes. These are all individually grouped. So that's the first thing you want to make sure, that each one of those snowflakes is grouped together. We'll go ahead and select all 8. We'll come down to the array tool. We'll want to make sure that our virtual array is turned on. And we're just going to start adding a few here. Let's get these so you can see them. Okay, and I'm going to say okay. And you notice that these 8 up here don't have that black hash mark in all of them. And we can do the same thing that we did before, meaning that if we want this to be a more random of a pattern, we can take this one and move it up. And you notice that all of them are changing. So let's say that I wanted to make this just a little bit more random. And you notice that we're creating some space here. Okay, and the good thing about that is you notice that some of our spacing in here is getting a little bit messed up. Well, that's not a problem. All we're going to do is right mouse click, come back to edit array, and we jump right back into our spacing here. So if for some reason our spacing isn't quite right, we can adjust it. Now, you notice that some of them are getting a little bit too close, right? Like this one here, we might want to bring down. This one we might want to bring up. And all we're trying to do is randomize things, right? Make it so it has even spacing. Maybe bring that up there. And you can see that things are starting to get much more evenly distributed. You can even rotate them. So let's say for some reason if we zoom in here, and we didn't like the way this particular one, we can always change its size. We can rotate it. So maybe we want, this snowflake over here, snowflake here, and you can see now that things are getting much more evenly distributed here. And even if you wanted to add some things, let's say that we just wanted to put some simple circles in amongst this area to fill in some space. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, I'm going to go to my circle tool, I'm going to hold down the shift key, I'm going to pull out a circle, I'm going to make it the same color so it's on the same layer. And Once I've generated my shape, I'm going to hold the Shift key down. I'm going to click on any one of these 8. Doesn't matter which one. Let's see here. I got to go back here. Hold the Shift key down, select one of those, right mouse click, and say Add to Array. And boom, you notice that now we've added that circle. So we could come in and grab that circle and place it wherever we wanted to. Let's say for some reason we wanted to generate an oblong or an oval. We can come back here and place it kind of maybe where we think it needs to go. Hold the Shift key down, select one of the 8, right mouse click, Add to Array, and you can see that we can start filling in now kind of these areas that might need a little help, fill in this area right here. Yeah, so if you come here, do kind of a, click here, right mouse click, Add to Array, and you notice now we've got that going on. If we deselect and select just that, we have the ability to move it, pretty much move it wherever we want. And so you can see the power of the virtual array. You can add as many shapes to this as you want, but the idea I'm trying to show you is you can create a pattern really quickly, and it's virtually going to kind of show you if you're trying to do it like a full wrap on a tumbler, those kind of things. And so that's something to consider when you're generating a pattern. I wanted to keep this video a little short, so I think that's what I'm going to cover today. I sure appreciate all your support. If you like this content, I would love a thumbs up. If you haven't done so, please subscribe. And if you have the ability, hit that thanks button and contribute to the channel. It's those contributions that are making this content possible. Until next time, thanks and have a great day.